Cha.
Also, I read through your thoughts.
Yeah.
They're great. I agree with every last one. But I can't say this to you.
But I need to hear it.
I agree. That's why you're going to do it.
Are you drunk?
Cite anything. It's sad, really, because technical difficulties, unfortunately, we started, and Mike Rose gave me a recitation that I had to... Anyway, Mike Rose is here with us, everybody. Mike Rose, he of the After Show, formerly of the unofficial Apple weblog. Funny story, the After Show is also formerly of the unofficial Apple weblog.
It is. This is true.
Yeah. Remind everybody what that is, please, and where they can find it.
I will remind you. It is the show that I do with Kelly Gamont, also late of the unofficial Apple weblog, and now the proprietor, one of the proprietresses, never mind. She is the host of a show on The Incomparable called I Want My MCU TV, which is all about the MCU television shows, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the moment. And she and I have been doing this little show called The After Show, which is at _After Show on Twitter and www.aftershowpodcast.com on the interwebs.
So this week, of course, we are doing all about the spring-loaded event here on in a few minutes. Yes. Now, when they first announced that, I thought, oh, that's interesting. It's spring-loaded. They're gonna propel us forward. They're gonna shoot us forward into something. And then it was just a day or two before the event that I thought, or it could be the spring event loaded with tons of stuff. And it turns out, I mean, you could argue actually that it still means both, but a whole list of things that they came out with. I've got 8 or 9 that I counted. Apple Card Family, all the podcast announcements, the purple iPhone, AirTag, Ted Lasso Season 2, which, may be the big one, honestly. iPad Pro with M1, the iMac with M1, and of course the new Apple TV 4K with the Siri remote. It is with the Siri remote that makes that a 9. Otherwise, you can say 8 if that's the way you want to be about it. Now, when you and I were talking earlier, you had started to say that you are going for the Apple TV 4K, and the question I had was why?
Well, yeah. I think, like Allison Sheridan, I am a believer in that little black box. I currently have a 4K TV without an Apple TV 4K, so it would be a noticeable upgrade for my 1080p Apple TV. But I like the idea of playing games on it. I do have a controller that would work with it. I just don't feel like my current Apple TV is ready for that. And also, I would love the new Siri remote. It still feels like a lot in a world where you can get a Roku or a Fire TV, or in fact, your existing television probably knows how to play all the content you care about. But I'm enough of an enthusiast around the Apple TV experience that I'm willing to go through this upgrade cycle and buy in. Feels like the right time.
It was really interesting to me listening to them thread that needle, because they basically had to say really what you want is an Apple TV, while at the same time not you see, the word I want to use is obscene. At the same time, not slighting, let's say, all of the smart TVs that people are already watching on, because of course nearly every smart TV coming out now has the Apple TV app on it. And you don't want to stand up there and say, there's no point in that. What you really want is this. Instead, they were able to say, yeah, this offers things that, no smart TV can, like the integration with Apple Fitness, for example, or Fitness Plus, excuse me. Or, of course, Apple Arcade as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it is not so much a services play, because of all the Apple services that are out there, the TV is probably the most democratized one. Sure, yes, you can listen to Apple Music in a browser, but nobody does. You're going either through an Apple application or through a physical Apple device wherever you go. So that's still true of the Apple TV Plus content. You are technically going through an Apple application, but really you're going through the smart TV, master app or parent app, and the individual, content provider chiclets are not all that important. Like, you can just even say, get me to Hulu or get me to Sundance Channel or what have you. So I don't think, I think it's the least tightly bound content / services play with the device. And so the device has to create some sort of differentiation that's not about the content, because to your point, the content is going to be wherever you happen to want to watch it, with the possible exception of on an Android tablet or phone. And even there, you could probably watch it in a browser if you put your mind to it. So yeah, I think it's about those things. It's about the smoothness of the experience, and it's about the performance. Nobody has to buy an Apple TV in order to consume that content.
Yeah, what's crazy, right before you and I started recording earlier, I actually was listening to Apple Music through the browser on my Mac, mostly because, so I was on iMore, and they said, here's a playlist of all the music that they played during the spring-loaded event. And I thought, great. And so I went and I clicked it. And of course, it played me 10 seconds of it because I wasn't signed in to Apple Music through the browser. So I signed into Apple Music through the browser, and then I saved it. And I will be opposite of blessed if I can find where that's actually saved in Apple Music. So I was listening to it on the listening to it through the browser, because it would let me do that then, even though I've saved it twice. I have a feeling tomorrow when I wake up, they're going to be like 9
playlists.
Yeah, 9 of that playlist, just like sitting there going, "What you wanted to hear it? Here it all is." Great music, by the way, if anybody's interested. Starting with the track from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original one with without Jack Sparrow. What else impressed you, sir?
Well, I am, of course, the candy colored IMAX are my kryptonite.
Okay.
I was one of those people who, as a IT manager or as a buyer of equipment, way back before, actually bought red IMAX because they were more closely aligned with the brand of Life magazine, which is where I was working at the time. So that's a crazy thing, but it is important, and it is a recognition that these are machines that are taking up they may be sitting in the dining room, or they may be sitting more visibly within somebody's living space or someone's office, for that matter, than your average black box PC. But I do think the event gravity was on the iPad Pro. I think that it's become clear over the past year that Apple's sort of pole position in a lightly competitive market of performance tablets. Mm-hmm. It's hard to count the Surface in that space. The Surface really is a PC that has tablet-like look and feel, or tablet-esque characteristics. Having the iPad sort of being alone there in that category at the beginning of the pandemic, and not ever having been a barn burner of a product except at the beginning, but consistent and beloved, but not a world killer. Now, the enthusiasm for everyone, including me, for their iPads, when they realize, like, wait a second, if I'm wandering around my house all day, this is the device I want with me. Mm-hmm. Like my news pad, I have become Dave Bowman. I am wandering around my space station with my news pad, and it's all I need, because it's my video conferencing, and it's my newspaper, and it's my stylus with my tablet and all the stuff. It's like, yeah, this is it. This is the thing.
Let me ask you a question, though. All the stuff that you're talking about, I mean, do you need more than an iPad Air for that? Honestly, because I've got the, I guess, 7th generation iPad, the one that was $329, not the one that came out last fall, but the one before that. And it's, a little heavy, but it does what I want it to do. If I were really walking around with it all day, I think I might go for the Air, because it would be lighter, thinner, and a bit more powerful. Do you personally do anything that requires the Pro? Or are you just like, well, if I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to spend the money?
I mean, I do some whiteboarding. I do some video and audio editing on my Pro. I do a lot of video conferencing on my Pro. So that, I mean, sort of, that's kind of the magic part of the experience for this particular device. If you're going to take it around the house and it becomes your Zoom or your Google Meet screen,
right?
Because of that ultra wide field camera and the head tracking, suddenly you're getting a better experience on this $799 device than you can on anything else for video conferencing.
$799. Okay, so you're not thinking the 12.9 with the XDR, nor are you thinking 5G.
No, and I would not. Again, referencing you to the staying in your house thing, don't see the value of 5G in this particular scenario.
Yeah.
And the larger one, I mean, I do have a problem sort of cognitively with the 12.9 inch because it's so close to the laptop screen in size, and it doesn't some people love it. I had a larger size iPad Pro at one point and traded down because I just found that the size itself dissuaded me from bringing it places, and that's not the point.
I've got a friend who is actually we were talking during the event. He was messaging me, and he's getting rid of his MacBook Pro, which in fairness, his MacBook Pro is almost older than I am. He's getting rid of his MacBook Pro and getting the new iPad Pro. I didn't ask him if it was the 11 inch or the 12.9, but I know him, and I'm guessing it's the 12.9. And I will almost bet you money that he's going to go with the 5G as well, even though I don't think he's seen the outside of his apartment in well over a year. He may be buying, though, for the minute he can leave his apartment and, then stare at his screen someplace else. Exactly. It's aspirational.
It's aspirational. And you're buying the feature. Of course, if for something that you're going to own for 2 or 3 years, you're buying the features that you anticipate needing, not exactly what you need right now. And it was the same argument on, 8 gig versus 16 gig of RAM on the first generation M1s. Yeah. You're to a degree, you're future proofing. I think 5G on a device like this is great. I think it's fantastic. I don't personally need it.
Right.
Wouldn't take advantage of it. I can think of scenarios like I use my iPad to pilot a drone on rare occasions when I do leave my house. Mm-hmm. So having 5G in that scenario would be great for live streaming from the drone, which is a thing that you can do with certain models of drone. That would be pretty cool. It's not worth it to me to go the extra mile for that. But for $799, the perfect video conferencing device that requires Wi-Fi, it's a good deal.
Let me go back to something that you said a minute ago about the iMac, because I saw a conversation on Twitter, and I keep wanting to say all the conversations I saw are Ben Beharan, but and this one may actually have been, I'm not sure. Because they got the multicolor thing. I mean, they've got the multicolored accessories as well. They spent a lot of time in talking about the Mac, talking about the fact that you can hand off from your iPhone to the Mac, or you can hand off from your iPad to the Mac. And I'm sitting there and I said out loud to the person I was watching with, we can do that already. Why is this being pushed as and here's a new thing? And then I think it was Ben who was like, wow, they're leaning really hard into that. They are expecting to convert a lot of people with these machines. Mm-hmm. They're expecting to bring in a lot of people who don't know about handoff because they don't know about handoff because maybe they have an iPhone, but they've got whatever Windows PC or they've got whatever Surface or whatever they have. Do you see this as a thing that can excite the consumer imagination? Maybe not in the exact same way that the multicolor iMac did a million years ago. But I mean, does this sort of herald that kind of, are we creating more switchers
with handoff?
No, with the multicolored Macs, and then that was the thing. I mean, that was the thing to spend so much time. And I know we're only talking about a minute or two, but it was less than an hour long. To spend a minute or two talking about handoff when we've had handoff for years now, Are they not talking to us? Are they talking to people who are new to this whole game?
I mean, I didn't hear the comment that we often hear about 50% of all Mac buyers are new to the platform.
Yeah.
This time around, I don't know when is the last time I heard it. May have been a little while. So I don't know what the current switcher velocity is. I would say that probably when they're talking about handoff, believe it or not, many people who own both those devices aren't aware of that feature. Personally, I'm aware of it, but most of the time I invoke it, it's accidental. So I'm not really leveraging it in my day-to-day workflow, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So anytime Apple can reinforce the value, the ecosystem value, the seamlessness, own the whole experience value of buying into an Apple platform, it's additive. In fact, it's multiplicative to the overall platform value. And I think when are they talking to us versus talking to the broader universe? I don't know. They're not even necessarily talking to the however many 500,000 people that are watching the stream. They're talking to the secondary and tertiary audiences that are going to read about these new things over time, over the next couple of months. And somewhere in some piece of data, what Apple is hearing is, hey, this would be a great feature for people to take advantage of if they only knew about it, because it creates a perception that these are things that are better together. So that's why they take that real estate, that temporal real estate during the event to talk about it. It's not because the audience hasn't been previously informed. It's because there's a value perception that gets created when you think about, if I have a Mac and an iPhone or an Apple Watch and an iPad or whatever combination of stuff, I am better off. I am a more effective human being in the universe if I have all the things.
Yeah, those are usually the things that make me just feel like, God, I'm doing nothing with my life. You know, when they do the whole thing, like, they do the whole thing with like, yeah, you can climb a mountain and take a call. I'm like, man, I haven't taken a call in forever.
I just felt like Alex, the guy who lost all the things.
Yeah,
that's me. That's me. That's my life.
I loved seeing the iPod Nano lost in his couch, by the way. he's throwing back.
I would love it if you told Chuck Joyner on Friday when you speak to him that I send my regards, because I had a great time listening to you guys earlier this week and watching Glenn Fleischman talk to Chuck about M1 Mac security, and Chuck's killing it. So I just please tell him I said hi.
Oh, I will do that, and I'll go ahead and tell you now that he said hi back.
Thank you.
Let's talk really quickly about the event itself. You actually talked about it a bit with Alex, the guy who lost his stuff. Allison Sheridan and I talked yesterday about Tim Cook as Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible riff that they did.
That was hilarious.
We're not going back to big events where everybody has to fly out there and get a hotel room, are we?
It doesn't seem that way. And if you talk to Philip Elmer DeWitt was talking about this actually in his newsletter, and I think John Gruber mentioned it as well at some point. The level of effort involved in getting people out there, usually on quite short notice for something like this, because they can't lead it too much.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. It's like the burden of it is so high. Maybe once a year you'd be able to do that, but we're at a 2 or 3 times a year cadence. There's no way. They're not going back. I'll tell you what's disturbing to me is I'm continue to get creeped out by post-apocalyptic Apple Park. Just how hard would it be to put some a couple people in the underbrush, just doing something? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's very disturbing.
Well, at the same time, though, it was neat to see that the humpback whales are returning to the pond in Apple Park. Nature is healing, Mike. Nature is healing.